What did I miss? Brian here, and today we got another firearm review. Today we are going to be doing an overview on the Sig P320 M18. Before we get into it, we always want to make sure that the firearm is fully empty, mag is empty, and so is the chamber. This is the Sig P320 M18. As you can see, it says it on the slide. There's only one mod done to it, nothing else. It's pretty much bone stock. I'll go over the firearm as well as its characteristics in a bit, but for now, let's go ahead and cover everything that's right in front of me, and that is the hard case, two 21 round magazines, and an M18 Velcro patch. Very nice patch, in fact. Now, what is missing is a SIG sticker, a lock, a Spec 1 lubricant, and the owner's manual. And for the owner's manual, highly recommend you read it when you first get a firearm, and that goes with all firearms. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and put everything off to the side. You know, maybe I'll leave a 21 round mag in front of me. Going into the Sig P320 M18, this is what's currently being used by the US military. Well, not this one in particular, but you get the idea. This one actually belongs to a friend of mine, Kenny, who's been in some of my previous videos, and I've done an overview on his Glock 43X MOS. Now he has let me use this P320 M18. So Kenny, if you're watching this, thank you very much for your help with this video. Your contribution is greatly appreciated. As I stated, there's only one mod done to this firearm, and that is this Texas flag backplate. Looks pretty nice. That's the only mod done to it. Other than that, everything else internally and externally is stock. For this model in particular, you get the M18 engraving on the slide. You have the capability to add an RMR, as you can see that black plate on the top of the slide, and you get night sights. Now, if you were to add an RMR, from what I understand, you have to change the sights as well, but I'm sure that's not a big deal for most people. You also get the ambidextrous slide lock, thumb safety, and the mag release. Now, the mag release is set for right-handed users. All you have to do is just take it out, flip it to the other side so that it could be left-handed user friendly. Like I stated, you also get the 21 round magazine. The current one in the firearm is 17 rounds. As you can see, it says 17 on this side. If I were to put in the 21 round mag, that's what it currently looks like. Looks a little interesting with that extension. Another interesting thing is that this comes in tan, or the dark earth color if you want to be politically correct. They do make the M18s in black, but Kenny decided to go with the tan color. You've got Picatinny rails at the bottom, so you could add a flashlight or a laser. If you look on the slide, you'll see there are serrations on both the front and the rear of the slide. You know, there's people out there like myself who like to pull from the front instead of the rear. From a distance, when you look at the firearm itself, you notice, depending on how you look at it, it could either look proportionate or disproportionate. The slide is a compact size slide, and the grip, it's not considered compact, but it's not considered full size either. The compact grip is actually a little bit shorter than this, and the full size grip would be like what the X5 Legion P320 or the X10 P320 would have. This is in between, and I'm not too sure what to call it, but you know, I kind of like it. It fits really nice in my hands. Another thing I found interesting is that this P320 M18 has two loaded chamber indicators. Traditionally, on most handguns, the loaded chamber indicator would be on the right side of the slide and only the right side, but this one has it on top as well. As you can see, that little square right there. I'm not going to load it for various reasons, but when there's a round in the chamber, the indicator on top will pop up and the one on the right will stick out. And while we have the right side exposed, I'm going to throw out this fact because this one is a little wonky. Sig Sauer is German, but this firearm is made in Newington, New Hampshire, and the mag is made in Italy. So you can see on the right side of the mag, Kind of odd how 3 different locations are involved with this firearm, but hey, you know what? It's very successful, it's very popular. A lot of people like it, so it's whatever. So the backstory behind the P320 M18 is that Sig Sauer submitted this model to the US military and was competing against Glock with the 19X, as you can see on the right. Glock almost made it, they were both head to head, but Sig Sauer won the contract, and this is what the US military is currently using as of right now. Not only that, but Sig also submitted the P320 M17, which has a full-size slide, has all the same characteristics as this M18, and the grip is the exact same. Now let's compare the differences between the Sig P320 as well as the Glock 19X. So how did the Sig P320 M18 beat the Glock 19X? Well, there are several things I can think of. They're both tan, they hold a decent amount of rounds, they're both ambidextrous, and they have night sights. But here are the big differences. One, the P320 M18 has the RMR capabilities, whereas the Glock 19X does not. The P320 also has the manual thumb safety, whereas the Glock 19X does not. And third, disassembly, which is pretty big. When you disassemble the P320 M18, like slide off and then you have the lower frame, the grip can come out and literally the metal frame inside holds almost every moving part on the lower frame. It's a metal frame inside and it holds the slide lock, thumb safety, disassembly tab, trigger mechanism, the trigger right there. Though, the only thing it doesn't hold is the mag release. That is with the grip and you have to take it out. Whereas with the Glock 19X, when you disassemble it, slide off, and you take out the internals, you have to take out the trigger and the rear housing in the back, and they're both 2 separate pieces. And then there are other moving parts involved. I'm sure there are way more reasons out there, but those were the reasons I could think of. And so enough about the characteristics as well as a comparison between the 19X. Let's get into the shooting demo. Now, I've test fired this P320 M18 in previous videos, and I'll be honest, I didn't pay much attention to how it shot. This time, I paid very close attention to how it shot, and I will say some things remained the same. Other things changed my perspective on this firearm after readjusting. Some of the things that stayed the same are how bulky it feels and the recoil management. Every time I pull the trigger, it fires and it cycles in a new round. The recoil is kind of all over the place, and it's a little bit stronger than most 9mm handguns, and I was only firing 1 15 grain 9mm rounds, so that is kind of surprising. I got a feel for this handgun as well as for other handguns, and this feels pretty heavy for a 9mm. But there are other models that are heavier than this. The trigger feels very weird, it feels awkward, and this is a stock Sig trigger. Now, this has been a known thing from what I hear. Most handgun owners, whenever they transition from like a Glock, 1911, XDM, Beretta, etc., whenever they pull the trigger on the P320, they say it feels very weird, and that's exactly what I thought whenever I went from my Gen 5 Glock 19 to this. For the accuracy, this handgun performs very well right out of the box, and it's bone stock. Barrel is stock, guide rod is stock, firing pin is stock, and I was surprised. I was able to hit the center with no issues, and I was doing a lot better with this handgun than my own. Of course, the recoil and the trigger made it feel a little bit weird, but when I saw the results, I was speechless in a good way. So my thoughts and opinions on this handgun: it performs nice, it's accurate out of the box, but it feels kind of awkward. Right now, in my hands, it feels nice, but when it comes to shooting and pulling the trigger, I get mixed feelings about it. I do not like the curved trigger. It feels really awkward whenever I shoot it. If I were to own one of these, I would change it out for a straight trigger immediately. The trigger reset feels awkward. Ugh. I do like the fact that it has a thumb safety. As you can see, I can move the trigger with no issue. If I were to flip the safety up, I can't move the trigger. Flip it back down and I can move it again. I also like the fact that you could add a flashlight or a laser, as well as an RMR on the slide. This P320 can hold the Sig Romeo red dot without any problems. Of course, you would have to change out the sights, but like I said, I'm sure that's no problem for most Sig owners. And if you don't like the tan look, you could always change it out for a different one, like a black grip or a gray grip, and give this firearm a dual tone look, or change it out for something more comfortable for your hands. And so that is it for this video. This concludes the overview of the Sig P320 M18. If you're subscribed, thanks. If you're not, thanks for taking the time to watch this video. Take care, everyone. I will catch you on the flip side.